busloads of migrants being dropped off at bus stations in McAllen, Texas. This amid reports authorities are struggling to keep up with a backlog of immigrants entering the U.S.
Here to discuss it, retired acting ICE director and Fox News contributor Tom Homan. Tom, thank you for getting up this morning. I want to ask you, because we've heard a lot about the rising cases of COVID coming across our border. The COVID positive detainees in the RGV sector alone is up at a 900% increase in the first 2 weeks of July. They had 135. You can explain to our viewers, perhaps better than anyone, that we don't test migrants when they are encountered. We test them after they've become put into custody. And I am concerned, as I suspect you may be as well, that the administration is at risk of unleashing the Delta variant in an unprecedented way on this country if they don't crack down at that border. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree. And Grip, in the northern border, we have with Canada is still closed because of COVID. And the southern border is wide open. And you're right. I mean, ICE has already had 7,500 positive COVID cases run through their system. Right now, as we're speaking, they have nearly 1,200 active cases in custody right now that came across that border. So, and what really scares me is that nearly 300,000 gotaways this year, those who escaped border apprehension. How many of them had COVID? And we already know the U.S. government, on purpose, has released hundreds of COVID-positive people into the interior by either buying them a bus ticket or a plane ticket and releasing them into the interior United States. This is simply incompetence at the highest level. At the same time, they're talking about Americans masking up. They're talking about door-to-door vaccinations. The U.S. citizens being held accountable to COVID, but the southwest border is wide open.
Well, and we can pull up some numbers and people at home can take a look for themselves because numbers tell a story all on their own. But, you know, to your point, Tom, that you're making about the gotaways and how many COVID positive cases there could have been in there. You know, for people who might be watching at home who don't live, don't work, don't travel near the southern border, for people who might think this doesn't affect them, you talk about gotaways and potential COVID cases there. You talk about drugs that come across the border. This is something that should impact every American, shouldn't it?
Yes, because these people that are crossing illegally aren't staying in Texas. People need to understand they're going all over the country. I know for a fact because I was on an airplane from Rio Grande Valley to Dallas during my last visit to Rio Grande Valley, and I watched at least 30 family units get on the plane, and they had plane tickets going all over the country: Boston, New York, Chicago, Denver. They're heading all over the country. And the data clearly shows that the U.S. government is spreading them across the government when they release them. So yes, this not only the COVID, many, on average, 20% of border apprehensions actually are convicted criminals. They have a criminal history. These people are being released all throughout the nation.
Tom, we have heard time and time again from the border officials that walls work. The first thing that President Biden did on an inauguration day was end that wall construction. But if you look at the money that's being spent, $2 billion, $1.8 to $2 billion cost per day to suspend wall construction, which amounts to about $3 million a day, doesn't seem to make sense to me in terms of spending our tax dollars.
No, if they would have just spent that $2 billion continuing that wall rather than just flushing it down the toilet, right, they'd have a less of an issue on the border. I'm not saying it would stop everybody from coming, but laws are designed to slow people down. The data is clear. Walls work. The illegal immigration is declined in the area. Illegal drug flow declined. This will actually help them. But Griff, this is the first time in my lifetime that we have an administration that is not securing the border on purpose. Everything they have done is about, setting the flow. They have not once, that one thing that this administration done to slow the flow. They haven't taken one enforcement action, one policy decision to stop the flow. They just keep offering more and more incentives.
Because
this is an open borders. Because this is an open borders agenda. The progressive left they've taken control of the White House. They've taken control of the Department of Homeland Security and ICE. This is an open borders agenda. They want more people to come to this country because the end game is that they're future Democratic voters and they want open border.
Tom, we got to leave it there. Thank you for the insight.
Thanks, Tom.